please welcome the Governor of the State of New York, David Paterson.
Thank you. How about another round of applause for our great Senator Chuck Schumer? And let's acknowledge the co-chairs of tonight's great event, Frank Salvaggi and Mitch Karch. And also to Anne Hathaway, Gerald and Katie Hathaway, Tom Hathaway, Michael Hathaway, and to Joshua Lawson. To Ann Chow and Alan Cumming. And to the great executive director of this wonderful organization, Alan Van Capel. To all of you who are here this evening, I come here feeling anxiety and apprehension, for we have a $3.1 billion budget deficit that looms and in many ways obfuscates so much that we would like to accomplish in this state. If we do not balance that budget in the next 6 weeks, we have to make a number of payments in a semi-annual basis for which we will be $3 to perhaps $3.5 billion short. We have $4 billion less in our available cash in this state than we had a year ago. And that is because from July 1st, 2008 to April 1st, 2009, we went from a $5 billion budget deficit to having to reduce $21 billion of debt. Our deficit quadrupled. That is the highest escalation of a budget deficit endured by a state in the history of our country. And although we were able to balance that budget this year, its gap has reopened again. And we are going to need everyone's cooperation and understanding to recognize that if we don't make the tough decisions now, we may face the problems that other states see as a reality. 25 of the 50 states have laid off or furloughed workers. 23 of the 50 states have abolished all their early childhood education and pre-kindergarten programs. 9 other states have conducted early release programs letting prisoners back into society because they can't afford to keep them. The latest state to miss its payment was Pennsylvania, who has now delayed payments to schools, local governments, to not-for-profits, and even their state workforce. In the state of Michigan, with a 17% unemployment rate, they have now closed 90% of their libraries. The state of Arizona has stole off its state properties. They sold their own capital. That might not be a bad idea. But they did it to save their own budgets. And the state of California, with a BBB credit rating, one level above junk bond status, borrowed $9 billion 6 weeks ago to balance their budget, and because of the high credit that they have to pay, the high interest payments, they are already back $1 billion in deficit. So we have some very difficult times. We're going to have some very hard times. But those who were in the women's suffrage unit, in the women's suffrage struggle, and those who were in the civil rights struggle, and those who fought for the rights of children know that there are difficult times, there are good times, and there are bad times, but it's always a good time for justice. And so the reason of purpose and the reason for being for the Empire State Pride agenda is to fulfill the dreams of those gay and lesbian and bisexual and transgendered advocates, both the living and the dead, who have struggled unremittingly and courageously over the last 100 years to build a viable national movement that would create economic, political, and social justice for us all. And bringing people who are gay or lesbian or bisexual or transgendered into the leadership of government, of politics, of business, of labor, of economic development and education, of healthcare delivery, and even in our faith-based institutions are the only ways that we can have true justice. Those are our principles, those are our goals, and we will never stray from them, not until every single barrier in this society is relinquished in favor of true equality for every American. And so the reason that I would address our budget shortfalls at this ESPA dinner is that those are the types of things I hope we talk about at future ESPA dinners, and that it really becomes a pride agenda more than a rights agenda, which is what it's had to be until all people are free. And so, in the next few weeks, I will call the legislature back into session, into a special session, to address a number of issues related to balancing our budget and continuing the stability of New York's economy. We will also address some unfinished business from earlier in the year. And when we do, on the first calendar that is written, marriage equality will be on the calendar.